Yes. Welcome to the very, very first episode. Let's just call it episode 00 of Battleborn Bets. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski, and what we're here about, well, we're going to guide you through your football survivor pool all NFL season long in 12 minutes or less. Now, not going to just see me here on this show. What fun is that? I'm going to be joined by my best of friends who unto themselves are real great experts in this field, not only in sports betting and football pools, daily fantasy. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on in right now. I'm going to go ahead and welcome my best friends, John Howard, Robert Ginter. Guys, thanks so much for starting this endeavor with me. I couldn't think of two greater gentlemen to join me on what's going to be a real fun little episode here that we're going to break down just a little intro to what the show's about. Let's go ahead and introduce everybody to who we really are here. I mean, obviously, myself, I've been here in Nevada now over 20 plus years. And well, after growing up in New York, decided, sports betting, this thing does look like a pretty fun thing for me. And well, turned it into quite a career. Ended up winning the Circa Survivor Pool in 2020. John Howard, thank you for pointing that one out earlier, and was the 2022 Gaming Today Bookies Battle Champ. All of that is simply not enough, as I needed to bring in even more talent. So let's go ahead and bring on John Howard, who unto himself, a champion unto his own. John, now please, let's let the audience know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I won the Lions Survivor Pool last year. Got real lucky in the process, but hopefully can provide some insight here weekly about picks and survivor picks and the NFL in general. So look forward to this endeavor with you, gentlemen.
Definitely not a hope. This is without a doubt the plan. You are obviously, and it's all there in black and white for anyone to go ahead and pick up and see John's picks last year, how he did run the table to win his own survivor pool. And so absolutely thrilled to have you on board. I've known John for, it's now closing in on 25 years. John in New York. I'm here in Nevada. Joining us, of course, in the middle of our wonderful United States of America in Illinois, Rob Ginter. How long have I known you now?
It's got to be 45 years. I don't know if I can count that high.
Rob, tell the audience a little bit about your level of expertise and how much time you've spent specifically in the world of analysis.
Well, I've got a tough act to follow, following these two winners of Circa Survivor. The only survivor pool I've won is against my kids, and that's not fair. So what I do bring and will bring to the table is deep levels of analysis. I do data analysis for a living in procurement, and this is kind of my forte. So I will bring a much needed sense of balance and analytics to the table.
Without a doubt, all real great things that we're going to be discussing. And obviously, look, what is our show about? Battleborn Bets very specifically was created by the three of us in an effort to not only give us an idea for what we want to come up with our week's selection. Obviously, this show's about the NFL survivor pools, whether or not you play them here in Nevada. Of course, it's probably far more known out of state than in. Everyone here in state knows about the greatest NFL survivor pool. Of course, it's hosted by Circa Resort in downtown Las Vegas. Thousands have entered. And as a matter of fact, John, I think you just pointed it out just a short while ago. They cracked the guarantee, $15 million, and growing, as there is no rake in this pool. The very specifics about this show, and as you all know, there's many different variants of a NFL or pro football survivor pool. This one specifically calls out two special weeks, the holiday weeks, which are Thanksgiving and Christmas, which are their own individual weeks that you have to make a selection for. So that is a great twist that eliminates an awful lot more far before that particular time comes, just because you need to start to think about that. I'm going to point that out and ask you guys a question about that, because I had an idea about that, and so it'll be a topic I'm going to just call back to in a bit. But bottom line is this: this show obviously is for all of you, and what we want to do is we want to bring you from week 1 to week 18 in one piece. That's the goal, not only for us, but the goal for you as we go ahead and talk about what our show is going to be. It's going to be fun. It's going to be under 12 minutes, no fluff, and hopefully it brings you some more information, or at the very least some guidance on how we come up with our picks. And yes, our picks will be revealed as our episodes drop every Friday evening. Most pools allow you to make your selection all the way up until late Saturday afternoon, in some cases Sunday morning. Why not wait? John, how do you think about that? Tell me, let's talk a little bit about this particular pool with the rules that are set up right now. Would you, if you knew that you had a pick and this was it and no doubt about it, you saw the schedule, heck, we could probably, say, let's just say week 1, because we knew what the week 1 lines were going to be for a very long time. Would you, knowing that you have your pick set, would you go ahead and punch that pick in early, or would you wait up until the last possible moment to make that submission?
Yeah, I like to wait, gather as much information as possible. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of playing the Thursday games, the early games. I don't even think I may have taken one Thursday game, that Jets game against the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. I think it was week 3 or 4 last year. I think the more information you have, knowledge is power. So I think waiting, there is some benefit to waiting, unless there's a really good reason to play on Thursday night, especially early in the season. I mean, it's hard to say. It's week to week. It's a week to week situation. But at the same time, I like to go in with as much information as possible.
Rob, are you ever going to punch a survivor pick early, or is this something that you're kind of lockstep here on the rails with John? Are you going to ever enter a survivor pick sooner than you possibly can?
No, I think there's benefit to waiting, especially with last minute injuries that may pop up. Especially with it being such a quarterback driven league, if there's any kind of noise surrounding quarterback injuries or potential unavailability or limited in any shape or fashion, I definitely would try to steer clear of that game if at all possible. So to answer your question, no, I want as much time as possible, but at the same token, with it being such a quarterback driven league, if there's injuries, at that position, that's for me a red flag to look another direction.
It's really, it starts to remind me, and I don't remember who the quarterback was. It's probably someone for Washington at the time. And it was during the COVID days where we found out that there was a quarterback that came down and he was clearly not going to be playing because he had to step out. And this was definitely an announcement that they made that they were going to have a backup quarterback. I don't remember the details. I think they ended up losing the game because they had a backup quarterback. And so that's true. It's like, if you know you have that amount of time, irregardless if you have within 99.9% certain you are going to take this team, just wait. You're given that out. You're given that option. Why not give yourself the opportunity to, at the very least, even if you know you're at 99% certain you're going to be making that pick?
Unless I'm going overseas on a vacation and I have to make that pick ahead of time, I think that's the only way I would make a pick ahead of time.
It's so
ironically, this week too, week 1, you have Philadelphia on Thursday night. You could potentially play that game. So it's going against actually what we're talking about. But it's a week to week thing. I like to tend to wait, but ironically in week 1, maybe Philadelphia is an option.
John, let's actually stay right there, and then we'll move on to a couple other things. But for certain, I wanted to actually, at the very least, just touch on this before we break into our first episode that actually breaks down who we're going to nominate and ultimately who we're going to select for week number 1. But being that this is a intro episode to, introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about what our methodology is to making a selection. So in this particular week, or this particular season of the NFL, most of the time the season kicks off with a good matchup, a matchup where the point spread is somewhere inside of 3. Well, that didn't happen. Obviously, Micah Parsons is gone, and I don't know. At this point, I'm looking right now. Dallas is catching 8.5 in some places, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up tomorrow morning somewhere near even 9. I think that probably will be the ceiling, but that's a whole nother conversation. So the point spread is so wide already at this point and so inflated. What percentage of the Circa pool do you think will take the Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. John Howard?
I'll say 10%. I'll go 10. So at 15,000 entries, I mean, you might see,
1,500 people.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that number, 10%, 10%, something like that.
Sounds great. So I'm going to start off right there. Rob Ginter, 9.5% over or under number of Eagles selections. And obviously we're not going to know anything specifically. I'm probably going to end up calling out to the Circa pool far more than ever, being that we're going to be in it. We'll talk about that, of course, as we move into episode number 1. But 9.5% over or under Philadelphia Eagles selections, Robert Ginter.
Under. And I'll explain. You actually answered your own question before. Not many people like to play that Thursday game. So I think some just out of habit will not put in a pick for that Thursday. Some of them will kick themselves probably after Philly kicks the crap out of Dallas, like we think they will. I think people will be kicking themselves for sure, but I'm going to take that under just based on the fact that I don't think people want to be, rushed into taking that selection.
No, not at all.
Within that first week, and they might save the Eagles for, another time too. So, that's another unwritten rule. You save the better teams for down the line.
Anchoring, and we'll probably save this for the next one, as we have clearly so many different topics on philosophies and strategies on how to win a survivor pool. This one in very particular, Circa pools, we all know holiday weeks include Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so you know what, I know that we're going to have our episodes wrap up in 12 minutes, and we've clearly already gone over that, and because I can't resist at least bringing up one more topic here about anchoring and about the strategy of looking ahead in a survivor pool's schedule, right? And so obviously you want to survive the week that is in front of you. That's the name of the game. It's surviving in front of you. However, I cannot resist. Rob, let's start with you here. Anchoring of picks. Thanksgiving with a very limited schedule. Christmas, very limited schedule. In a pool with that kind of rule set, are you anchoring a pick or anchoring teams well in advance, knowing that those games are to come and you don't want to leave yourself bare?
Me personally, I would look for 2 teams that are potential possibilities to win on those days and try to save them as best I can. Again, you're balancing the whole, live to see another day mentality with, an eye towards the future. Let's use retirement as that example. Your retirement is week 18. If you're ignoring week 18, that's a problem. So I think there has to be a good balance between both of those. Live for today, but also keep an eye on tomorrow.
So I'll give you an adoption of a little bit of a hybrid situation where, yes, you will be taking some of that into account, but for the better part, you want to go ahead and see if you could just make it past week number 1. Obviously, I would probably subscribe to that as well. John Howard, obviously you were a part of a pool that did not need to be concerned about holiday weeks, but here we are. It's Circa. You're going to be the owner of 3 entries this year. How are you going to be strategizing this coming season, anchoring or not?
Yeah, I mean, Rob brings up a good point. Maybe my 10% on Philadelphia this week is a stretch. And ironically, I just checked the Eagles are playing on Thanksgiving.
Yes, they are.
They are a Thanksgiving team, so maybe some teams would. I guess honestly, it depends on the format. Circa is a different animal than any of these other. If you're just doing it with your friends and it's one team a week, it's different. I've seen some pools where you have to start taking 2 teams in week 11 and then 2 teams in week 12 and so on and so forth. So Circa with the holiday weeks with the 2, you have to go 20-0 to win Circa Survivor. So you really got to balance it out. Anchoring, does make some sense in the Circa pool, might not make sense in other pools. It really depends on the rules. It's very important to know what your rules are. So I guess you really got to get that straight first. But with Circa, it's a completely different animal. But in Circa, anchoring, yeah, probably, maybe not so much in something else in a different type of format.
If there was one little part that I could pull out from this great episode, which I'm so grateful for, it's probably that I want to pull that out. Know your rules, please. Know your rules. Know your rules. Know your rules. I could go on and on and on, and it would just keep moving on. And there's a whole concept of the no pick, which I know we're going to talk about eventually. Good old no pick is going to make its head appear several weeks, of course, and so that's something that we could be talking about, and unfortunately, laughing at us definitely in week number 1. I mean, come on, don't be a no pick in week number 1. So look, obviously, we mentioned from the very top, we know what the show is going to be about. Yes, plenty of time for Q&A, plenty of time to look at the results from previous weeks. We're going to have guests on this show that are going to be really exciting and very knowledgeable about this particular type of pool and other types of betting pools as well. Friday evenings is when you could expect our episodes to drop on YouTube and, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. And, well, what more can I say other than to thank you so much for joining us on this really, really great episode. We're very grateful for having you all joining us here and understanding exactly what the show is about. Hope that you get to see us again, as we probably think that this is probably going to be the end of it. Yeah, that's our closing music, gentlemen. So this is going to be the end of it. I'm really grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. See you on episode number 1. Thanks so much, everybody.